This is Jackie Jeter, President of ATU Local 689. We invite every DC resident to join us and get involved in our campaign for safe, reliable transit for all of the metropolitan DC area. You can do this by texting DC Transit to 33733 or visit our website at atulocal689.org. Together, we will make it work.
Welcome back. You're watching DC Transit Matters, where we're discussing some of the perils and safety concerns related to the privatization of DC's MetroAccess transportation service. Welcome back, Jackie Jeter, Karen, and Lee, and Tom. We've gotten on a first name basis here, so I want to get back to, before we went on the break, we were talking about some of the compensation issues related to the employees of MetroAccess, but I want to be more specific. Talk to me about how much are people getting paid, and how does that influence their desire to stick around and go through some of the challenges that they have?
Well, it doesn't. The starting salary, well, when they start training, it's like $10 an hour. The starting pay is $13, $14, and most of our veteran drivers, they might be making $17, give or take. But the pay is the biggest part because you can't. The cost of living is so high, you can't afford $13, $14 an hour, and you're working, every day, and you can barely afford an apartment. That's what my issue was for me. Making $13, $14 an hour. I try to work at least 6 days a week just to see my money.
And you have a family. You have a child.
And did not qualify for a one, let alone a 2-bedroom apartment. So it was very difficult for me. Me and my daughter were homeless for 3 months.
While you were working?
Yes, and every day I showed up to work on time. I took the overtime, worked every day, and no one at my company knew what was going on, and they found out about my story. And everybody kept saying, but they never knew that I was, me and my daughter were in the street for 3 months. And during that time,
how old is your daughter?
My daughter's 20.
Okay.
So that's a grown woman.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I had to cancel a lot of my insurances and stuff like that because I couldn't afford it. Trying to make sure I had, you have to pay to stay with people. And then just to make sure that I had enough money to, when I was able to move, that I stayed ahead of myself and try not to fall behind. So the money it's difficult when things go up every day, every year. Something, all the time it's more and more and more. And when you get your check, you work all these hours and you're looking at your check and it's like nothing there. And we have a lot of drivers, they look at their time sheet. And one of the drivers, a couple of weeks ago, she was like, yes, I'm able to pay my rent. When she looked at her timesheet.
And this is part of the reason why it's so heart-wrenching, when you look at the paratransit industry and the paratransit drivers. I don't believe that these companies that are foreign companies, I don't believe that they offer the same kind of service on another continent that they offer on this one. I think that $13, $14 an hour, some of us think about it and we think about what can you do with $13, $14 an hour. But the other part that's frustrating for a union representative is the fact that it's hard to bring their wages up, to get them health care, to make sure that there's enough in the job to make them want to stay. The benefit package of a job is just as important as anything else.
Right.
And if you can't give them a benefit package that would make them want to stay longer than a year. A lot of times, there are a lot of MetroAccess workers that now work for fixed transit WMATA because they start off at a higher wage and there is a benefit package. There is a difference. I don't think that any union really wants to work to keep people in poverty. That's not our purpose, And no, it's not to make people have a mansion to go to Las Vegas or anything else, but it is to make sure that they have a livable wage. And that's our plight.
Well, and talk to me a little bit about, in addition to the compensation issue, what is the work environment like? I mean, how are you treated?
It's intimidating.
Explain that to me.
Call center, I'm not sure how the drivers are, but I have a young lady now that's got custody of her grandchildren, and what she wants is to take off every other Saturday because it's a court order, it's a subpoena, it's a court order. She has to do this, and they're telling her that she can't. In fact, they didn't approve her leave. So what that does is every time she takes off, she gets a point. And each time she gets a point, it's building up to 10 points. And at that point, then they're going to find a way. Well, your attendance is being bad, and we're going to have to terminate your employment. Blah 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 blah. That's not how you treat people. This woman has been working for them for almost 10 years.
Wow.
10 years, and that's the way they're going to treat her. That's the way they've been treating her, and it's
you
just
talked,
terrible.
Jackie, about how the turnover, this churn issue is
Yeah.
not just a problem for MetroAccess. This is a problem in paratransit nationwide. Have you had some of these same? Have you experienced or seen some of these same challenges where you are, Tom?
Absolutely. In Rhode Island, it's kind of going in the reverse, though. The paratransit service in Rhode Island was all private, and the union fought to bring some of it in-house, which we have a great deal of it in-house. But there is still some private companies out there, and the level of service that is given by the union members is superior. They're drug tested, they're trained, they're uniformed. The training alone is extensive, and those things provide a quality of experience for the client that raises that level of security for our most vulnerable citizens that we transport.
So I'm curious, how did you get to that point? How were you able to make that shift from having it be all outsourced to having the union be able to get these things for the workers?
Well, first of all, we went through the legislature to work with the General Assembly and the people in the Department of Human Services to bring it in-house. And RIPTA, the company is Rhode Island Public Transit Authority, was acting as the broker at the time, and when it was mostly privates. Then we brought it in-house, and there were still privates out there, but like I said, the vast majority of the paratransit work, ADA work, is done inside the transit authority. And the results are amazing as far as the service. Amazing.
Is that something that we could potentially learn from here in DC? I mean, is there hope for?
Yeah.
for us?
I think so. I think that there are so many opportunities, and there's so much value to bringing that inside. WMATA does the service anyway, so to make it a viable part of the services that they offer, I would be very interested in sitting down and having a conversation about how do we do this, how do we bring it in-house so that we do provide the best service that we possibly can. Honestly, I think with WMATA having a hands-off approach, it allows for some of the mishaps and the large turnover that goes on to take place without them even knowing, even though it's hard for me to believe that they don't know.
Oh, they know.
Talk to me about how all of this affects the riders at the end of the day, because I mean, obviously it seems to me that if you have people who are dispatchers who are feeling this kind of stress because their job is really very tenuous and they're always feeling like somebody's breathing down their back, or you've got drivers who are having to put people in the street while they're moving them from one part of the bus to the other and collecting fares in dangerous situations. I mean, how does this impact the riders, and what do you hear from them about all of this?
And they complain a lot about the timing, having to be on the van for more than 2 hours sometimes, being taken past their home 5 minutes away from where you pick them up at. They got to go a 45-minute drive, then to come back. So their biggest complaint is the scheduling. Sometimes they don't like to ride the van with certain disabled clients because of their situations. And it's difficult, for them to really, they don't want to be in the van with them.
I think no matter what, the public suffers. Whenever you have situations in transportation, it's not just about that worker and that worker's wages. The public suffers. They suffer if the experience is not there. They suffer if the scheduling is not there. They suffer if the door-to-door pickups and the unsafe conditions that they place themselves in is not there.
Right.
In this area, we a long time ago, we fought for exact fare, and we fought for not having to show money simply because of the safety of
Right.
it. And so to turn around and have it all over again is very, it's a very heart-wrenching thing.
Well, we're getting down to the end of our time here, and I want to make sure that we spend some time talking about, so what can riders do? I mean, you talk a little bit maybe about how they have influenced the process in your community, and maybe you all can add to that.
Right. Well, in Rhode Island, on the Transit Authority Board, there is a person from the disability community that serves as a board member. They have an ATAC committee which meets with the Transit Board. It meets with the CEO on a regular basis to discuss the concerns from the disabled community about transportation, specialized transportation, ADA transportation, paratransit transportation, even fixed route transportation, because many do ride paratransit and they might take a fixed route bus home. They don't necessarily
Right.
commute back on a paratransit vehicle if they're able
That's
to
right.
ride a fixed route bus.
Right.
So that conversation is well established in Rhode Island, and it creates a dialogue between the clients, the advocates, and the Transit Authority, so they can work on those common problems to come up with resolutions that are productive.
And have the benefit of everybody's
Right.
knowledge
Right.
about the
Yeah, everybody
situation,
has
which
input.
sounds like
Right.
what's happening here.
And having a riders advisory group is good. I think that there has to be, we have more in common than we have, apart. We really do. And we're going to have to, the workers and the riders are going to have to come together in order to have better service for both of them. So riders advisory, I think this dialogue, a regular dialogue about what the problems are and how to fix them is very, very important.
So, Karen, let me ask you this. Given everything you've been through, why do you do this?
I do enjoy my job. I'm grateful to have a job, because some people do not have a job. A lot of times you got to pay your bills. So what are you going to do? So you do what they ask you to do, and you make the best of your day. That's the best you can do. You try to make the best of your day and try to enjoy your job while you're working.
But you also talk about loving your client.
Yeah, I mean the clients. Yeah, some of the clients are very nice. We do enjoy meeting new people every day.
Well, sometimes you say, there by the grace of God go I, because it
Yeah.
could be
Well,
any
and that's
of
what I was
us.
going to ask you. At
Yeah,
the end of the
definitely.
day, we all may need
Right.
Yeah,
Metro
one day, sooner or later,
One of
sooner or
these
later,
days.
yeah, whether it might be just for 30 days, or your loved ones, anybody in your family might need the MetroAccess. So you want to make sure that your drivers are compensated very good, because you give us a lot of rules. You give us a lot. We wear a lot of hats
Right.
on that van, a lot. And we're babysitters and monitors and just a lot of hats on the van. So you just want to make sure, it could be your family member that's on the van. So you want to make sure that they're taken care of, that they're treated with the utmost respect, that they're not riding on the van for 3 hours when they should have been dropped off 5 minutes from their house. So it takes a lot. The service just has to be adjusted. I guess that's a safe thing to say, adjusted. It's a good service. It just needs to be worked on a little bit.
Well, and I
better.
think that's the message, is that if this is
Yeah.
a quality service, it's a good service, but it
Right.
could be better.
Yes.
And part of what
It'd
needs
be
to happen is that
extremely better than what it is. I mean, it's just terrible.
And sometimes I think,
In my opinion, I'm sorry, but it is. I mean,
sometimes I
it's,
think
it's
they
not
have
the
to
workers'
listen.
fault.
Yeah,
It's-
they need to listen to. They need to come out and listen to the drivers and to the dispatch people, those who really do the job, and just see. Try it for 30 days, 90 days, 60 days, and see how it works. And if it works that way, why not change it?
So we have like a few seconds left. Where, if I'm a person who's listening and watching this, if I want to get involved, where can I go to become involved in trying to help advocate for change?
Well, I think there's a couple of places. We have a website. Our local has a website, and you can go to that website and get information. There's also a texting service that we do to make sure that you get involved with that, and that way you know when initiatives are going to take place, hearings and things of that nature. There's also just calling our local, or getting involved with your local Americans with Disability Services, and there's a lot of groups out there.
Well, so we'll make sure that people go to those places and
Yes.
get information that they can. And I want to thank you all for coming and having this conversation. And we hope that those of you who've been watching have found it informative, and hope that you will continue to ask questions and learn more about MetroAccess, because as we said, eventually you may need it.
Right.
We also invite you to come back for the next edition of DC Transit Matters. Perhaps next time we can have some riders join us.
That would be good.
Most definitely.
That would be good.
All right. Thank you very much.